This is The Complete Creative, the podcast for creative pros who want success without sacrificing what matters most. I'm Bree Stockwell, life coach to creative professionals who love meaningful work and a complete life. Each week, we talk about what it actually takes to create your intentional life, where your health, relationships, meaningful creative work, and your inner peace joyfully coexist. Let's get started. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode. Let's just get into it. Today, I want to talk about decision fatigue and how it is draining your creative energy in ways that you might not expect. And we'll talk more about decisions. That's what I wanted to start with, that decision fatigue is a real thing, and it really does affect us in so many aspects of our lives, not just our creativity, but especially our creativity. So let's talk about decision fatigue, okay? This is what happens when your brain, like this is the actual definition, when your brain gets tired from making too many choices. So you're making choices. And even the small ones, like what to wear. Gosh, you guys, sometimes I think that's a big one. Like I pick black a lot, black top, black pants. Okay, I'm done. But sometimes I'm like, oh, it's this event. I don't know. What do I wear? And it's exhausting. So sometimes if I'm doing that, going back and forth, or in the past, I have found myself going back and forth on what to wear. And by the time I get to the event, I'm like so tired. And I didn't know that this was happening. I was very unconscious of it. And now I'm even more conscious. So I think about these things ahead of time. So when I get to it, my clothes are ready, all my things. This is all in preparation for having a great experience of the event, you know? So all these even seemingly small decisions can chip away at our energy. And so many of us, if you are in decision fatigue, you might be thinking that you feel like scatterbrained or unmotivated or unfocused or whatever. And it might not be the case. Like that's probably not true that you're unmotivated. Your brain could be feeling maxed out from constantly trying to choose what to do, how to do it, when, etc. So if you've ever felt exhausted before you even start the thing, it might be why. Decision fatigue might be why. And part of this isn't about having, quote, a better mindset about it. There's a real tactical thing that you can do. There's a little bit of woo and intuition involved here. And I'll tell you actually how you can make that very clear where your energy is going towards the end. But the tactical part is the real life thing is noticing where your energy is leaking before you even get to the thing that you're doing, your creative work, the event, wherever. It's like in real time, noticing where your energy is going and then backing up from there. So you don't have to have, quote, a better mindset. It really is just about noticing. Just think about that. So sometimes we're in this space where like, I feel so unmotivated. And we beat ourselves up. We're like, oh, if I just felt more motivated, if I just had a better mindset, if I could just have positive thinking, when really it could be, not saying this is always the case, and this is why I'm talking about this specifically, it could be that you are in decision fatigue and that has been zapping your energy. That really is all there is to it. The science behind decision fatigue is, okay, I'll just read my thing. Psychologist Roy Baumeister found that we all have a limited supply of decision-making energy each day. And like, I was reading this and I'm like, well, how many decisions is my limit? Okay, we don't have to get that granular, but just know that every time we make a decision, it drains us energetically. So part of the science here is that our brains use our physical energy, like our glucose, for all brain activity. And one of our brain activities is decision making. So here's the thing here is that whether or not it is a big or small decision is totally up to us. That is the mindset belief part. If you believe it's a big decision, it's actually going to take more energy. If you believe it's a small decision, it's going to take less energy. Isn't that interesting? It really is about belief. Do you believe it's a big decision? And then your brain uses more energy. There's no big or small decisions. It is all about how we think about them. Back to our brains, as our tank of energy empties, our brain is looking to conserve energy. It's like, oh crap, we got to have energy to walk, to eat, to do all the necessary functions. And so it causes us to save energy in different ways. So our brains will tell us to avoid decisions. It will cause us to make impulsive ones. You know, have you ever made an impulsive decision where you're like, oh, just do it? I don't care. Just pick one. Right? Or we may have made the decision, maybe kind of a little lazily, but then we second guess ourselves. It also drains us of energy, but just know that that happens as our energy goes. So decision fatigue also reduces your ability to focus and to solve problems and to stay present, all in favor of conserving energy for the essentials for living, for staying alive, right? But our ability to focus and solve problems and be present, all of those we need and we want for creating, for using our own creativity for the work that we do. And here's the kicker part. Even minor indecision, tiny, or we could call this like low energy decisions, even those trigger low-level stress signals, right? That might keep you a little bit on edge instead of feeling like you're in flow. Now, not all stress is bad, but this one might cause you to, instead of feeling like more fluid in flow, there might be more tension there. If that low-level stress is there, there could be some tension that could keep you out of flow. So if you've been feeling tired or foggy or even unsure, there's some confusion before you even sit down or do any of your creative work, decision fatigue might be your problem. So have you ever heard of something called decision switching? So I just talked a little bit about decision fatigue, but have you heard about decision switching? Decision switching sounds like I just can't make up my mind. Or why can't I just decide already? So it's not like you've already made the decision, right? Decision fatigue comes in when you're like multiple decisions that you're making over and over again. Decision switching is like, should I do this one or do that one? Oh yeah, I should do this one. Oh, but wait, what about this one, right? You're going back and forth between the two. And it probably sounds in your head like, why can't I just make up my mind? And you're probably not being indecisive. What I understand now doing this own work for myself is I am probably disconnected from my own clarity. Let me just reiterate here. Decision switching is when you revisit the same choice over and over and over again without resolving it. Okay, should I wait? Should I change it? What should I do? And clarity is what clears this up. No pun intended. What we actually want, instead of decision switching, once we have clarity, is discernment. When we find ourselves in that place of like, I don't know, is it this? Should I do this or that? Which one? Why can't I just decide? If you find yourself in that space, it's more about checking in and coming more clear with what you want, what your intentions are, where your values or priorities are, and really stopping and slowing down to ask yourself and discern what the quote right decision might be, if a decision even needs to be made here. So here's what it would look like. Noticing that you're in this space, that you're kind of going back and forth, and then slowing way down. And I think all this can be fast. I say slow down, but actually that means just noticing that it's happening and pausing the thought process that's happening in your brain. From there, once you've slowed way down, and if you need to, you can do a quick breathing exercise, like do a little box breathing exercise. If you feel yourself really like amped up with anxiety, you can do some breathing. Then you're going to check in internally. And I like to close my eyes because I don't like the visual distractions. And I'm asking myself, okay, what do I really want here? And I'm going to talk about a plan that you can do in a minute. I'm just telling you when you find yourself in this space, okay? Then you can decide if a decision needs to be made. So let's go back to decision fatigue. I want to share some signs that you're stuck in decision switching. Asking everyone else what they think before you trust yourself. Should I? Should I? Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? Shouldn't I? Maybe I should go ask so and so. I've thought this so many times. Maybe I should go ask my coach. And maybe, and I'll talk about that later, maybe, but also could you trust you to make the decision? Because you already have the answers. Like, do you trust yourself to make the decision? Could you? Decision switching could look like rewriting an offer, rewriting your bio or a sales page over and over and over again. Maybe it's not perfection. Maybe you don't quite have the clarity that you want, and you haven't quite decided what it is that you want from those things. Decision switching could look like pushing back on a project or something like a launch or something that you have happening because it doesn't quite feel right. Anytime you're asking yourself, I don't know, you might be decision switching. Last, and I just threw this one in because I think it's fun to make things real. If you are obsessing over tiny things like a font in Canva or the minutia of a font instead of actually doing the work, you might be in decision switching. Do I? It might not be about perfection. Maybe you need to pause and have some clarity. I talked about the science behind decision fatigue. And as our energy tank depletes, I mentioned we might avoid decisions. So let's talk about the energetic cost of avoiding those decisions. So think of your brain like a browser window, like Chrome or Safari or whatever you use, right? Your brain is like a browser, and every decision that you leave open is like a tab. So before I started recording, I had to close out all my tabs, and there were a lot, like 20. I have a lot of tabs open, but that might be an energy leak for me. I don't know. I'm going to think about that right now. But every decision that hasn't been made yet is like a browser tab sitting there, and it has to keep refreshing. And so when you have a lot of browser tabs open, like I did, so one of the reasons why you're supposed to, when you're doing recording on Riverside is the platform that I have. So in the instructions, they say close all your other tabs. And the reason is because it takes a lot of energy and bandwidth, the computer bandwidth to record, to do the uploading and all of the things. I don't know how it works, but anyway, it takes a lot of computer energy. And so when there are a lot of browser tabs open, it could interfere with the energy that this platform needs to do its job. And that is the same for us. Every decision that stands open, that you leave open, is like a browser tab that your brain has to keep refreshing and refreshing and refreshing. And I don't know if you've seen this, but like your brain will come back to the decision, should I or shouldn't I? Oh yeah, that is huge. So a strategy that you can use is decide a date or a time frame that you are going to look at the decision. You can do it now if you need to, but if it's not a decision you want to make right away, what do you do between right now and then if you don't want your brain to have to keep refreshing it? So write it down on the note, and that way it has a place for the idea to go, and then move back to what you're currently doing. So if you've ever seen Harry Potter and he takes, I'm literally going to pick up my pen because I want to do this, but like Dumbledore has something called the pensive. It's like a big bowl of thoughts, and he will take his wand and touch it to his head and pull out the thought and put it in the pensive for it to live there. And then he doesn't have to think about it anymore because it lives now in the bowl, right? And that's what we can do. If you need to put off making a decision, you can literally take it out of your mind, put it in the notes or a list somewhere, tell yourself, okay, that's where it lives now, and then go right back to what you were doing without needing to think about it anymore. So this is where the thought work comes in, which is like, okay, I've put it in there. Now I don't need to think about it. When I do this kind of thing, I tell myself, great, it's in there, and I will look at it again when on X date, and I leave it. because I trust myself to go back and look. I trust that my subconscious is actually doing the work on it, or it's in a holding pattern and it's okay. Some decisions, you want to make them very quickly. If you can make them very quickly and you feel good about it, then for sure do that. But if it's something that you want to put off or you need to make with someone else, then you can try that strategy that I just talked about. All of these things, like the refresh of the tabs, is happening in your brain, but it adds up. It's like a low level mental noise because it's going to keep refreshing. It's going to keep coming back to you and reappearing at times that you might not want it to, right? It's draining you of your full presence, maybe with someone or with your work or with whatever it is that you're doing personally, whatever it is, right? It's draining you of your energy. And I'm going to tell you, anytime it's doing those two things, it's also draining you of your creativity. And I love being in a creative space. Like, it feels really amazing, but I know if I have too many tabs open, then my full presence and creativity isn't going to be there. So, how do we then protect our energy and create confidence in our ability to make decisions without sliding into decision fatigue or decision switching? How do we become more purposeful, intentional, and confident about making decisions? One of the things that you can do here is grab a journal and you can list out every open decision that your mind is holding. If you need to do this over time, have a decisions note, that's fine. Even if it's like, I don't know what to wear on XYZ. I think it's sometimes silly, but for me, it's valid. We still have to decide every day what to put clothes on, unless you woke up. Well, we won't talk about that. So something else you can do is decide what actually matters right now, this week, imminently. Be honest with yourself. Which decision that you've written down needs your attention or your energy right now? And you just go to those. So write down all of the decisions that you have pending and look at them, and which are the ones that rise to the surface. Which ones are calling for your energy right now? And you can circle them. Just do 1 to 3. You don't have to decide on any of the rest right now. Just circle 1 to 3. And then from those 1 to 3, pick one. If it's just one, then do that one, right? And move it forward in the decision-making process. So being perfect isn't the goal here, not at all. It's just going to be, how can I move it forward closer to making the decision? If you can make it today and right now, amazing. Maybe you check in, slow down, check in, breathe, right? Make the decision. And what if you made the decision, even if it felt messy, and just tried it? Because I did talk about having clarity before we make the decision, but clarity is also going to come through making the decision, and things will become more clear for you through the action of making the decision and moving forward on it. I can't even tell you how many times I'm like, I'm just going to make the decision on this, and that will actually show me some clarity. So I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And immediately I know it's a no. I'm like, oh, I guess that isn't the decision. Okay, then because I now have clarity, I can now switch it and either say, then the other way is a yes, or I don't do it. Or I might make the decision and I feel internally like it's a hell yes. I always want to make hell yes decisions. And guess what? So do you. You always want to make hell yes decisions. In the process of making decisions, you want to have some filters. And you want them to feel like you. You want them to be aligned with who you are. Here are some things you can ask yourself. Does this feel aligned with the way I want to work and live? Is this coming from a place of confidence, or could it be coming from fear? Is the impetus for the decision coming from a place of fear? What might that be about? Will this move me closer to my vision? If you're clear on your vision, then you can be clear on this too. Will it move me, you, closer to your vision while honoring what matters most? You're taking all of those things into account. And then if the answer is, does it feel aligned? Yes. I want you to make decisions from a place of confidence. Is this coming from a place of confidence? Like, could you trust yourself to make this decision? And does it move you closer to your vision and while honoring what matters most? If it's yes, like, I want you to back yourself once you make your decision. Trust yourself that you know what is best for you and not anyone else. I just had a conversation with my son today, and he told me some interesting things that he's probably going to choose. He said he's in a decision process and he's like, this is so hard. I'm so like, I could tell he was so tired. He's like, this is exhausting. I'm like, yeah, it is. And I thought, this is so interesting that I'm recording this episode today because he's in a space where he's making a decision that if he moves forward, like I think he's going to, it's not something anyone else is choosing. And he might get some pushback on it from other people. But can he back himself? Yes, I think he can. And my son is, gosh, he's 21. I was like having to remind myself. Okay, he's going to be 22 in February, but he's 21 and he hired his own coach. So he has his own coach if he wants to talk through the decision-making process. But I know that whatever it is that he chooses to do, that he can back himself, even if it looks crazy to other people. And it does. I'm sure it will look crazy, but I'm like, yeah, I do crazy things. I do things that are against the norm, and I back myself. So that is how self-trust is created, with one decision at a time, making the decision, hey, I'm going to do this. Other people aren't going to agree with it, but I still back myself. I still trust that this is what I want to be doing right now, no matter the outcome. This is what I'm choosing right now. So I kind of alluded to this, when to loop in a mentor or a coach. I love so much that my son hired his own coach, and he hired this coach for a very specific reason. It's like amazing that he is paying his own cash to do this. The transformation that will happen because he is doing this for himself is going to be incredible. So I want to talk about when to consult with a trusted person, a mentor, a peer, a coach, someone, and when to just trust yourself, or when to trust yourself only. Ultimately, you are going to trust yourself because only you can make the decision. There is this fine line between creating clarity with someone and outsourcing the real decision because you don't trust yourself. I know you already hear the difference in how each sounds right now. So creating clarity with someone or outsourcing the decision because you don't trust yourself. And here's how each of these looks. You're thinking, I want to make a decision. Let me call my coach. Let me call somebody. So you consult with that person. Okay, I'm just going to say coach for now because that's my space. I have gone to a coach before and I'm like, can you walk me through the process of making the decision? Can you walk me through? Okay. Here's what all of this looks like. You consult a coach, okay, when you need clarity. And you already have like weeded some things out, right? So you have a few good options, but you haven't really honed in or like landed on what fits you, what fits with the rhythm of your life, with the vision for your life or your business or all of it, okay, or your values. And I want to tell you, values are top level. You want to always have your values with you while you are making decisions because those are true north, our values and priorities, okay? That's what the co-creation looks like when you bring forth the options and talk through them. But outsourcing looks like you come to someone and you're like, tell me what to do. It sounds like, hey, what should I do about this thing? You call a friend on the phone. If you came to me and said, what should I do? I would say, I don't know. What should you do? What would you love to do? And the outsourcing happens when you're looking for someone to tell you what to do so you don't have to decide. It might be because you're super tired because you've been decision switching for a long time. And that is part of the avoidance that we talked about earlier. In my personal one-on-one work, I'm not there so you don't make the decisions. I'm not there to do that for you. I'm there so that you can stop needing to outsource. So you learn how to trust yourself more in the process of making decisions. We look at what your vision is, we look at the energy that you want to spend on it, and you do it all from personal alignment versus like, I'm telling you what you should do. Also, I want to tell you right now, outsourcing looks like polling people. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I'm like, should I go out with so and so? Well, how would they know? Right? Have you Googled it? Now, wait a minute. I want to say this. I have chatted with ChatGPT. I like using AI in a lot of things. I don't ever say, what should I do here? I have a personal GPT that I've put a bunch of stuff in. And if you're ever curious about it, you can email me or DM me on Instagram and I'll tell you about it. I'm at Creative Minds Coach on Instagram if you haven't followed me there yet. But so I use this GPT that has a lot of my own personal things in there. And so I feel comfortable having a conversation with it. It's like, hey, I have this decision to make, not what should I do, but like walk me through the process. These are my choices. And then I actually talk through with my own self. So I'm like it feels like I'm having a conversation with me. And I ignore all the fluffy stuff that ChatGPT does, which is like, yes, this feels so aligned for you. Okay. Could also be like, hey, what should I charge? Not from a place of, hey, I'd like to make a change. I'm considering this. Walk me through the process. It's like, hey, what do you think I should charge? And none of it quite feels settled. That's when you're trying to outsource. The work that I love to do is helping clients walk through what they want to have happen. Do you want to create spaciousness in your calendar? Do you want to increase your income? Do you have a choice between two jobs or two projects? Or you get two commissions at the same time and you're deciding, do I need to choose between them? We can clear all of those things up and then the decision becomes a lot easier. We co-create together the clarity for you. One of the tools that I love using with my clients that you can use too right now is my friend Colette Hall. Now, this isn't like trademarked or anything, but she has what she calls the decision formula. And one of the most powerful questions, and I think the first question in the process of this formula is, what do I want to have happen? And that's part of the clarity process. So, what do you want to have happen? And getting clear on what you want to have happen unlocks you being able to make the decision faster with less energy expenditure, all of those things. So, a couple of questions here that you can ask yourself to help you reconnect with your own clarity and open some space in your mind to make the decision are number one, are you waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay? And what does that look like? Number two, which decisions are draining you more than your actual work? Isn't it crazy that that happens? Yeah, I know. And number three, what's one decision you're finally ready to close on this week? To close the tab on this week? One decision that you have going. So as we finish up with this conversation on decisions, I have a couple of important points for you to remember. One is you do not have to decide every decision right now. You don't need to be afraid that having all of these decisions in mind or in the process of being made, like you don't have to be afraid of the energy that they're going to take because you can just believe you can come back to them. You can be the kind of person that makes confident, purposeful decisions in the right timing. You don't need to be in a rush. Like you don't have to be in a rush to make the decision because you're afraid of the energy leak. That doesn't have to be a thing. Believing that you are the kind of person that makes aligned decisions with clarity is going to feel so much lighter. It's going to help you feel so much lighter when you believe that you trust yourself to make those kind of decisions in the right timing. And If there is a decision that you could make right now, why not make it? Why not just close the tab on that decision and then move forward with the next thing? Because when you stop spinning in indecision, you start creating with more energy and you create the intentional life that you want with more energy. And that is huge. So, if this conversation hit close to home, like deep inside, you were like, oh my gosh, how, Bree, I've had people say to me, you are literally looking into my brain right now. But partly it's because we all go through these things. I'm just voicing these out loud for you right now. But if it hit especially close to home, if you're noticing how much mental energy you spend second guessing decisions, stalling on decision making, or even like just spinning on the hamster wheel of indecision, we do this work together in my one-on-one coaching. It is powerful. And because not only do you make the decision, but you walk away trusting yourself more to make decisions on your own without feeling like you need to outsource them. If you would like to have a coaching conversation with me and have more clarity on how you can move forward to make more clear decisions in life, I'm going to put a link to schedule a call with me. Let's chat. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for being here and for joining me in this conversation, because I really do feel like I am in conversation with you. I'm the only one speaking, but I feel what I say resonating with you. All right, I will chat with you in the next one.